Good morning, my YouTube viewers. It is Crystal here. I'm here this morning because I wanted to make another video for you. And this video is going to be an analysis of a census data set that I have gotten a hold of. And it's in Excel. So the analysis is going to be conducted in Excel. So here is the data set. You can see the data set, and it's the raw data. But what I had to do, because one of the questions they were asking about income, and for some reason there's obviously something wrong with the data. For some reason it didn't work. So what I had to do is I had to put a formula in there to say that if it's less than or equal to 50K, it's 0. Otherwise it's 1, because the greater than 50K just didn't work, and I don't understand why. I'm not sure why, but I had to use a binary logic, zeros and ones, to get that to work. And so that's what I did on that particular data set. And I will say that I had, this data set is a little bit more difficult to work on than the others that I worked on, because they were asking specific questions about people who earned more than 50K. So what I did was, the first question is, what is the proportion of people who earn more than 50K? And we had to use a count if census P2 to P32562 is 1, and then you divide that into count the census P2 to P32562. So what you're doing is you want a percentage of the people who are earning more than 50 grand a year. And so what I did, because whenever I was carrying out the analysis, I was having difficulties, because obviously whenever you do something, if you have a number wrong or something like that, then it's going to affect your reading. And so that's why I went ahead and asked the question, how many people earn more than 50K? And then so we did count if census P2 to P32562 is 1, and you had 7841, because obviously I needed to get my values in the next questions to equal 7841. The next question is, what is the age of people, the average age of people who earn more than 50K? So again, we had to use a formula. We used average if the census P2 to P32562, comma 1, and then what we do is we average the age A2 to A32562. So the average age is 44.25. So now what we do is we ask the question, what is the correlation between age and education level? So we use another formula. We use the Coro formula of census A2 to A32562 and census E2 to E32562, and we get a correlation of 0.036527, so that's positive. Now this is the one that I had problems with, and it took me a long time to solve the problem because I had a number in the wrong place. And that's the problems that you can run into if you have a number in the wrong place. Say, what is the proportion of men and women who earn more than 50K? So we had to use a formula, and it's count ifs the census P1 to P32562, comma 1, and the census J1 to J32562 is male, and that was 6662, and that was 20.46%. And the proportion of women is the exact same formula, but instead of asking if it's a male, you ask if it's a female. And we had 1179, and that's 3.62%. So you can see that there are significantly less women earning more than 50K than men. So you see that there's a disparity between women's earnings and men's earnings. I would say about five times more men, more than 5 times more men earn more than 50K than women. And then so we totaled that up, and that was 7841, which is the total that we wanted over here, the 7841. And then I also got the percentages. So the percentage is G8 over G10 plus K10, and this is the next one is G9 over G10 plus K10. So I just wanted to see the percentage of people who earned less than 50K a year. So this is exactly the same formula as the males, except for the salary. We put a 0 instead of 1, and that's 46.46%. And then for women, it's exactly the same as for women, except you put a salary of 0 instead of 1, and it's 29.46. And then so you've got the totals as well. So if you total these, you see 32561, so that's correct. So that's why I put in different measures to double check my work, because I wanted to make sure that my work was correct. And then if you add the 4 percentages, it adds up to 100% or close to 100%. So I added it up in my head. I didn't add it up on Excel. I just added up in my head, and it was like close to 100%. So that's telling me that this was correct. And that was the one that I had the most problems with, because I had the wrong number. And so that's why you need to really double check your code and make sure that your code is correct, because if your code isn't correct, you're going to get the wrong figures. And that's why I went to the extent of checking out the people that earned less than 40K, less than 50K, in addition to over 50K, because that was able to tell me that the figures were true. And if I hadn't done that, then there's the possibility that I could have got my calculations wrong, and that would not have been good for this video. But the thing is like whenever I was initially doing the calculations, because I had the number incorrect, the men didn't turn out right. The men was like 1941, and I thought, well, that's not correct. That's not correct. There's something wrong here. And so I kept going through and trying to find out what the problem was. And finally, I found out the problem is that I had a number in the wrong place. And the next question is, what is the median hours of work of people who earn more than 50K? Okay, so the thing is you have a sum ifs, you have a count ifs, you have an average ifs, but you don't have a median if. So we say equals median brackets if the census is P2 to P32562 is 1, meaning it's over 50K, and the census is M2 to M32562, and that is your hours worked. So the average hours worked is 40 hours a week. So these were the 5 questions that I was giving to perform an analysis of this data set. And you'll see the analysis concerned people owning over 50K a year. So we had to answer specific questions about people who earned over 50K a year. So we had ifs. We had to use if statements in order to answer that question, because the column of data had greater than 50K a year and less than or equal to 50K a year. For some reason, and I don't know why, the greater than 50K a year didn't work, which is why I had to make a different column. And if it was less than 50K or equal to, it was 0. And if it was greater than 50K, it was 1. So that's it. That's it for this analysis. And I'm going to go ahead and conclude this video. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you like my video, please like and subscribe. And the next video I'm going to be making is going to be on a dashboard for this census. So thank you again, and see you soon.